What's going on, guys? Welcome to another stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Sunday, April 11th. So things are actually starting to change fairly quickly. Some things are changing for the better, other things not so much. But I want to keep you updated on everything that is currently going on. We are starting to see more lockdowns and restrictions happening across the world. Here in the United States, we're also starting to see a slight surge in COVID cases in particular areas. A fourth stimulus check is now seen as a necessity and not just a want from progressives. President Biden has proposed a $1.2 billion increase to the IRS budget, but some say this could be too late. We also know that progressives have now given President Biden their list of priorities for his $2.25 trillion infrastructure package. So there's a lot of stuff we need to go over, and I want to break this down for you so it's easy to understand. First, I just want to thank you guys for spending some of your Sunday morning with me. If you can, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. It actually does help out the video. Now, let's begin. Right now, additional stimulus checks, additional direct payments, that is essentially what many lawmakers are calling these. Stimulus checks have a kind of a negative connotation to them, simply because a stimulus check is meant to provide and stimulate the economy. However, some argue that there's no reason for an additional stimulus check because the economy is doing very well. We are starting to recover. So when lawmakers say we need an additional stimulus check, those other lawmakers come out of the woodwork and say, no, we don't need it. But then when they say we need additional direct payments to the American people for this, that, and the other thing, there's really no lawmakers that come out and say, well, why do we need that? The economy's doing just fine. So that's kind of the change we're seeing from progressives as well. They also want to see a monthly stimulus check. However, according to more and more reports, what we're hearing is that right now they are not looking at a monthly stimulus check in the sense of, it comes every single month. Now they're looking at a periodic, and this is exactly what I mentioned the other day as well, is that right now some are saying that no, an additional stimulus check is great, a monthly stimulus check would not happen, but periodic, that could change things because it would be less expensive and it would be easier for the IRS to actually send out. Right now, what we know is that due to many states starting to see an increase in COVID cases, direct payments are considered a necessity. They want to see that, and this is not just from progressives, this is from many Democrats as well, even some moderates. Experts are currently attributing to the rise in COVID cases due to spring break, Easter weekend, and the weather actually getting warmer. And this is what we knew, even months ago, is that once things started to open up, COVID cases should come down, which they did. But then we had spring break and we had Easter weekend. We also had a surge in travel, which also probably had a big impact on this number as well. What I can tell you right now is that one of the reasons why there's so much talk about direct payments, additional unemployment benefits, and this is something that we're like 5 months away from, or something like that, like 40 weeks or whatever. Anyway, we're a long ways away, right? Actually, not 40 weeks. I think 20 some weeks, 21 weeks away until September 6th when unemployment benefits would expire. We also know the child tax credits are going to be possibly delayed. This is a big challenge for the IRS, and I'll address that in a minute. But one of the big things right now is that lawmakers were expecting the $1,400 stimulus checks were going to last people about 3 months. Well, I asked you guys here on the channel earlier this week as well. Many of you responded. But most people that really needed this money, that money was spent within the first week. And yet lawmakers are saying it was going to take them 3 months. There was a 3-month relief payment. Well, it didn't work out that way. And we know progressives are pushing for additional checks. This is not going to stop. Democrats want this as well. We also know President Biden is getting a lot of pushback for his $2.25 trillion infrastructure bill. That, if you remember, this is only half of the bill. This is only part of it. The other portion of the bill is not going to come until later on in the spring. the issue right now is he's getting pushback because some say they do not like the tax hikes and that all this additional spending has to be paid for, and it's going to be paid for by tax hikes. Some say they don't like that. Pretty much every single Republican has said that. Many Democrats have said that as well. Progressives, they say we are not spending enough. So some are saying, no, we need to bring it down, tone it back a little bit. Others say, no, spend more. Spend more. The money's so cheap right now, just keep spending. So we're getting a mix of both parties. But right now, what I can tell you is that President Biden isn't getting any love from pretty much anybody. But one of the biggest hurdles right now, and this is something that leads to additional stimulus checks, child tax credits, tax refunds, okay? Pretty much everything that the American people are doing right now, all the money that the American people are getting or should be getting is going to come almost in a way because of this one thing. What we're hearing right now is one of the biggest hurdles that Congress is facing is the IRS. And it's not the IRS isn't willing to work with Congress, isn't willing to provide stimulus checks and send out money and direct payments and do all this stuff. They are. The problem is the IRS has stated for months they do not have the manpower to get all these stimulus checks out in a timely fashion without any problems. If you remember, when the $600 stimulus checks were sent out under former President Donald Trump, those checks, many were actually sent to the wrong bank accounts. They were sent to the wrong bank accounts. They went to some H&R Block accounts. They went to TurboTax. They went to Jackson Hewitt. They went to all these different tax accounts, but not to the actual people. And so then there was a delay by possibly a week or two, even 3 to 4 weeks for some people. They also say, the IRS says they cannot process 2019 and 2020 tax returns at the same time. They do not have the manpower, and they're seeing a lot of issues. They're also trying to get this through, get all this done so that they can start to issue the overpayments for the unemployment income tax waiver that was passed in the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. So what they're saying is if they can't get these out, then they will not be able to get out the overpayments in May. And that is, according to the IRS commissioner, that is when they should start. And then on top of all of this, the IRS is still working to get out the child tax credits. So if you have a child between 0 and 17, okay, they cannot be 18 years old. But if they're anywhere between 0 and 17, you will get at least a partial payment if you make over the income limits, depending on how much you made. But you should be able to get anywhere from $250 per child to $300 per child. So that's going to help out a lot of people. And in some cases, that right there is seen as a better advancement of money or a better stimulus check. So we will see what happens there. But right now, there's a lot of issues that the IRS is facing. But we did hear from multiple media outlets that the IRS has requested many times to receive additional funding. Now they're finally getting that funding that they pretty much deserve. This funding that's going to go to the IRS, some are saying that this is going to go to hire more people, and this will actually go to help the IRS go and do different different audits and things like that to hopefully get money back that the wealthy are supposedly hoarding and not actually claiming as income when they do their yearly income taxes. So right now they were requesting, or previously I think probably when the $1.9 trillion stimulus package was still in negotiations, they were requesting an additional $1 billion in funding. However, Congress didn't come through. They didn't give them any additional funding, and now they're at pretty much a loss because they cannot afford or they cannot hire any new people. They cannot bring them back. They need more space. They need all these things, but they don't have any money. Now President Biden is proposing a $1.2 billion increase to the funding for the IRS. However, some say this is going to happen too late because this wouldn't actually pass until the federal spending bill is passed. This would most likely happen sometime in the fall. Right now, what we know is the federal spending bill Okay, for their fiscal year, it actually ends on September 30th. So the new bill has to be signed into law before then, or what they can do is actually do a slight extension, which is essentially what they did, I think, twice just last year as well. So right now, the issues are going to continue until at least this bill is passed and until the new fiscal year. The problem is some are saying that the IRS cannot wait that long, yet President Biden doesn't seem to be too worried about that, and either does Congress. But while President Biden is working on this infrastructure bill, both parties are actually pulling it apart. So while President Biden is unveiling his federal spending bill for the next year, right? It's pretty important. And as we know, Congress does not move fast. They're going to have to negotiate this. They're going to go back and forth, pull some things out, put some things in, probably send billions and billions of dollars over to other countries, all while the American people are still hurting. But what we know is right now, both parties are just yanking apart President Biden's infrastructure bill. His $2.25 trillion infrastructure package, they're pulling that apart. We know that Republicans do not support this because they're spending too much money. Democrats are mixed. They like the idea. They don't like the ideas, somewhat more, somewhat less, somewhat certain things pulled out. But we will see. But good news. We now have the progressive priorities. The Progressive Caucus actually released a letter the other day, sending a letter to President Biden, also posted on Twitter. You can go and see it. But now they have their priorities. There's a list of 5 priorities. One thing I want you to keep in mind is even though these are their 5 priorities, this does not mean they're not asking for more. These are just the 5 main things they want to see that they're calling infrastructure. So this means this is pretty much excluding stimulus. Stimulus is not included in this because they're saying it's not technically infrastructure yet. A lot of things that are in this bill are not technically infrastructure either. So here's what we know. Priority number 1. I don't know if these are in any order. Okay, I don't know if this priority number 1 is the main thing they want. Priority number 5 is the thing that's like, well, if you get to it, great, but if not, no big deal. We don't know that. Okay, nobody actually said. But here's their priorities. Priority number 1, strengthen the care economy. They want to invest $450 billion into Medicaid, home, and community-based services. They also want to have access to childcare as a universal benefit and establish permanent paid family leave. Priority number 2, they want to have bold investments into affordable housing. This is also something that President Biden really wants to push for. But progressives want to see $70 billion to address the public housing repaid backlog. They also want to see $45 billion for the National Housing Trust Fund, but that is per year, not just a one-time fee. Priority number 3, they want to see lower drug prices. And this is also a big thing that many people have been saying for a while, is that currently Americans overpay for every single, or at least most prescription medications, and this has to stop. If we can see lower drug prices, lower medication costs, what would actually happen is American people, especially Social Security recipients who need more medication than most younger people, what we are seeing is that there will be more money to spend in the economy. The economy would actually see a big shift. We'd see a huge recovery because of the savings that American people are saving just from the medications alone. But they say progressives want to put this in. They want to see an end to the high drug prices because right now, people can go to Canada, people can go to Mexico and get certain medications. I don't know if they're as good as what we have in the United States. I honestly don't know. I don't take really any medications. But what I can tell you is people are going outside the country, getting what they need and bringing it back. Whether it's legal or not, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but they are doing it. Priority number 4, they want to see bold investments in climate jobs and impacted communities. Priority number 5, a roadmap to citizenship. Right now, experts say that a roadmap to citizenship, and not just something for people within the United States, but if the Biden administration can educate people outside the United States what it takes to become a citizen, it would actually create less issues down at the Mexico border. And that is what a lot of people are saying is a huge issue at this time. So even though these are the 5 priorities that progressives have put out for President Biden, these are only the priorities they want to see included into this infrastructure bill. Some say that there's other things that progressives really want, but they can be handled in a different format at a later date. So I don't know when we will potentially see additional stimulus. I don't know if we're going to see a monthly stimulus check. I don't know who it's going to go to, but what I can tell you is additional direct payments, whether they call it stimulus checks or whatever, it will come. We just don't know in what format and in what kind of context. So we will have to wait and see. But let's get into the COVID-related news for today. Right now, the COVID data director for the White House has said, and this was in a tweet yesterday, amazing Saturday, 4.63 million doses administered over total yesterday, a new record. That is really good. 4.6 million vaccines were administered in one day. That's a new record. That is great. That means more and more people are getting it. Hopefully the vaccine is safe. Hopefully, it helps. Hopefully it actually does its job, even with these new variants. But that's the issue. While more vaccines are going out faster, many experts still worry that their effectiveness regarding the different strains found here in the United States will not be as good, even if it's not as effective. And so this is what some people are arguing is, even if maybe it's not 95% effective, right? Or 93% or whatever it is, right? Let's say it's only 80% effective. That's still better than zero. That's still 80% better than nothing. That is what experts are saying is, even though it's not as effective against a double mutated strain or just different variants, it will still have some impact, and hopefully it will prevent you from getting the virus. The big concern right now is actually in younger adults. What we're hearing is that the Midwest is seeing the greatest surge in cases, but other spots around the country are beginning to see a rise in cases as well. Some believe that this was due to spring break and Easter weekend, but also the fact that younger adults have yet to be vaccinated. So until younger adults start to get vaccinated and kind of take this a little bit more seriously, some are saying that we are never going to see the United States reach herd immunity, and that is essentially what we need. Currently, Michigan Governor Whitmer, she is asking for a 2-week pause. This is actually causing a huge uproar amongst businesses within the state because she wants to see a pause for youth sports, indoor dining, and in-person learning. This is creating a big problem for businesses because they were very close and they were eager to fully open very soon. We know in California, they want to open up, I think, June 15th to fully reopen their economy. So right now, some are saying that, no, it's not fair that certain states are open, other states are not, and it's creating a huge problem. This is something that we're also seeing in other places as well. In Ontario, Canada, they are actually limiting stores from selling non-essential products. So let's say you go into a dollar store and you want to go buy a toy. You can't buy a toy. You want to go and buy food? You can buy food. You want to go buy medication? You can buy medication. You want to go and buy toilet paper? You can buy toilet paper. You want to go buy a birthday card? Nope, sorry, you can't buy that. It is non-essential. This is the same thing for thrift stores, Walmarts, grocery stores. Grocery stores you go into and, I want to buy those insoles for my shoe. Those aren't technically essential. You can buy food, you can buy medication, but no, you can't buy that birthday card. No, you can't go and buy those insoles for your shoe. No. Do you really need batteries? It's really up to some of these stores, and that's creating a huge issue. Right now, in Ontario, Canada, they only want people to leave their home for food, medical, and essential needs. Experts warn that this could be the start of the next wave. However, at this point, it's still too early to tell. Experts have been saying, just to be clear, the next wave's coming. They've been saying this for, 6 to 8 months? And so at some point, they could be right. But if they keep saying it day after day after day, most people will just not believe them until it actually happens, then it'll be too late. So just keep that in mind. But as I know more, I promise I'll keep you updated on all the newest information and all the new updates. All you got to do, consider subscribing so I can keep you updated. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys on the next one.